Hi there, TaffyRue here, and welcome to another exciting episode of Features by TaffyRue, where we get to put the spotlight on upcoming artists and creatives who are bubbling under. So, you've heard me mention that it is incredibly difficult to find female artists in the creative industry. So, I celebrate when I get to sit across another talented female individual. And I'm so excited to be talking to my guest today. Her name is Chantelle. And Chantelle is actually a female dancer. So she is the first female dancer on this podcast today. And you guessed it, I obviously met her at the Bring It On talent show, where she was the first female dancer that we had in Bring It On, like in five whole years. So she is breaking records already. So I am super excited to be talking to her today, getting to know the person behind, all the dancing. So Chantelle, welcome.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It's such a pleasure. I'm so grateful because, like I mentioned, it's usually very hard to find other female creatives to actually talk to. So thank you so much for coming.
It is my pleasure. That is true.
So let's start by probably getting to know who you are, right? So I've met you at Bring It On, but there are probably other people who are watching this video who don't know who Chantelle is. So maybe you can start by telling us, who is Chantelle?
Okay. Thank you, TaffyRue. Okay, so I'm Chantelle, like you mentioned. My name is Chantelle Chinoingira. I'm a young lady who was born and raised in Marondera. Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And then we moved to Macheke. So currently I am studying a Bachelor of Science in Social Work at Midlands School of Social Work. And I dance, like you mentioned. I love dancing. Dancing is my passion. I am a Christian. I'm affiliated with Apostolic Faith Mission in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And also my totem is zebra, so you can call me Maduve.
Ah, yes. Okay, interesting. All right, so maybe let me take you back a bit. You mentioned that you are studying social work,
Yes.
right? Why social work, and how did then dance come into the picture in the midst of all of that?
That is a tricky question because when I was growing up, I always thought I was going to be a doctor. So, you're in the family, you're getting good grades, and your parents are like, Dr. Vedu, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But so I had this, I guess, this passion in me to work with people. So I always thought, medicine. I didn't even know there was such a thing called social work.
Okay.
But when you're growing up, God did other plans for me because I didn't pursue sciences. I had to go for arts. And that's when I learned that there's something called social work.
Okay.
And for me, it's more like a calling. That's how I say it. It's not just a profession for me. It's more like a calling because it takes a lot to do social work. So I guess that's how I just got in. And then with dancing, I've always danced. Honestly, I don't know when I started dancing. I was a little baby during family functions. We have Shanti. Shanti can't dance for the family.
Dance for the
And I was
family.
just dancing to those songs. I didn't even know what I was doing. But
Yeah.
then people would clap and I was like, okay, so this is good.
Maybe there's something
Maybe
there.
there's something there. And then when I grew up, I started watching a lot of dance movies, Honey, Step Up, you name it. So I just fell in love with dancing, and I guess it was already a part of me.
Okay.
Yes.
So you said that a lot goes into social work. Maybe for those people who don't know what social work is, maybe you could tell us a little bit about what social work is.
Okay, so social work, it is an art. Yeah, did I mention it's an art?
No, you
There is
didn't.
art.
How is it an art?
It's an art. I don't know, but it's an art. It's an art. It is a profession. It is a science that aims at liberating people.
Okay.
Yes, liberating people from whatever situations they are going through, whatever social is problems. People have problems. People are stressed. I think since we are all Zimbabweans, we can understand what is going on in our country.
Yeah.
Economic, everywhere there is someone, people are just stressed.
Yeah.
So as social workers, it is part and parcel of our a job to help those people find solutions.
Okay.
We don't give them the solutions. We just help them to find the solution to go on and go on until they just feel free.
Okay.
That's basically it.
Interesting. All right. So you also mentioned that you started dancing when you were okay. Before we go back into dancing, actually, I was doing my research on you.
Yes.
And I saw, like, after scrolling down your Instagram, that you were also into modeling. Are you still doing that? Is it something that you left in the past for dancing now? What is the story there?
That is a good question. Okay, so I liked modeling because I have this confidence. And people would say, the way you walk, So I would see myself on a runway. But then, like, growing up, as you can see, I'm not that tall. So, with the modeling industry, like, you can go for runway, you can do that. But I like fashion.
Okay.
I like expressing myself. I like looking good.
Yeah.
So for some time, I kind of pursued modeling.
Okay.
And it's something that I'm open to, actually. Maybe in advertising, promotion. So if you've got something there, I'm your girl.
We should hit you up.
Hit me up.
Yeah.
Yes. But maybe with time. But for now, it's just mainly social work. It's mainly dancing. But I am open to those opportunities.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back to dancing, right? So you mentioned you don't remember when you actually started
Yes,
dancing.
I don't.
Okay,
don't.
when, probably my question would be then, when did you start dancing in front of people who were not your family?
Okay, I think that was in high school. Back at Maroon High School, we would have those. I remember there was class of arts function, and we had those clubs at school. So they were having competitions, inter-hostels competitions. I actually did modeling during those gigs and whatnot. So they're like, we want to have inter-hostels, so you create a group and you practice, and those will win and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know what? Nobody knew I could dance. So there was this guy I would dance with. So we started practicing. And then when I performed, oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember. People were like, wow, I didn't know. I was like, those were just simple moves. So you were wild. I was like, yeah. So I think that was the first time I actually performed in front of people that were not my family. It was back in high school. Yes.
Weren't you terrified? Because, teenagers are like brutal. Like, I think people in high school are not nice. So, I mean, there are a lot of things that I did not try because, just the fear of, people talking down on me and saying, school go now, Weren't you scared to actually try something new in front of, your peers?
Well, for me, maybe it's because I loved it so much.
Okay.
And I've always been that kind of person who is confident. If I know that I'm good at this, I'm going to be confident.
Okay.
But every time I go on the stage, trust me, my heart will be pounding. I will just be nervous.
Yeah.
But once the music goes on, I'm like, you know what, this is my zone. This is my area.
This is my thing.
I just gave it my all. So I think I didn't have that... that much challenge in expressing myself when I got the opportunity to, especially in a field that I knew that this is my zone.
That's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. Okay. So what has your journey been like in dance? So you started when you were young, you then continued it during your high school years. What is it looking like now?
I think the one word is just progress.
Okay.
I am learning. I'm still learning. And every time I do so, I'm also discovering myself. Because at first, it was just for fun. I was like, I'm just doing it for fun. And I would post on my social media. If you check on my Facebook or Instagram, I would post here and there. And then after that, you start realizing there is more in dancing. As much as I'm enjoying this. I remember there was this video that I did. It was on, around Women's Month,
Okay.
I think back in the days. And then I was just doing, I don't know what I was doing there. But then somebody came to my inbox on Facebook. He was like, the way you danced, the message that you were portraying, I felt something. And it was talking to me. I was like, okay. I think that was a turning point for me. So I just started realizing that it is not just dancing. Some people, they are connecting.
Yeah.
Some people, they are just, I don't know, they are being helped in some way or the other. So it's something that I honestly, every day is one of my prayers. God, show me how do I go about in this art industry? How do I use my talent? Because, there's this verse that I love in Proverbs, a man's gift will make room for you. So how is my gift going to make room for me? And how is it giving glory to God? That's been a journey, and I'm still learning.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So I guess one challenge that I have seen, maybe with dancing in today's society, it is, I think probably maybe specifically when we're looking at women, there is a certain type of dancing that people expect from women, right? What challenges have you faced, or how have you navigated the space of being a woman in the dancing arena, in the dancing world? Have you faced any challenges at all? And particularly in terms of the way people expect women to dance?
That is a very good question, because I have come across some of those challenges. Okay, so I think when people talk about female dancers, most probably they are thinking, okay, twerking and all of that.
Yes.
So now I faced, I remember there was one time somebody was like, I have a video that I want you to be part of them. I was like, okay, what kind of dances are you doing? Actually, he said, send me a video. So I sent them one of my videos doing Afro dance, and they were like, can you not twerk? I was like, that's something, that is something that I cannot do, unfortunately. I was like, why? I'm like, it's not just me.
Yeah.
I respect all women, those who twerk, those who do all of that. That is,
That's not me.
It's not me. I respect every woman and their artistry. That is their own kind of art. I want to define a Chantelle's kind of art. That is what I said.
Okay.
And so even up to now, I'm telling you, there are many opportunities out there. But then when I see them, I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not me.
Yeah.
It's not me. So you'd find out sometimes you lose out on opportunities, but I'm like, was it really an opportunity? Because once you do something and then you are hitting yourself, why did I do that? I'm not really comfortable, because I want to do something that I can show my parents.
Exactly.
I can show you guys and you can be like, I know her. No, yes. But then when you're like, Chantelle, wango day, it becomes tricky now.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the challenges, even up to now, even with modeling. I think that was one of the challenges. I was like, you know what? If I don't know how to go about it, let me just wait.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I don't want to cry and regret. But yes, because my own kind of dancing, I want to be something that impacts people, something that tells a message, something that motivates someone.
Yeah.
If not all of that, at least just have fun in a way that you're not like, oh, hehe, my wakakazvona izvi. So, yeah, I think that is it. But there are many challenges in the art industry, I tell you.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I tell you.
There are a lot of challenges that singers get, but I can only imagine the challenges that dancers face, right? Because of just, how society has portrayed that certain area for women especially.
Yes.
Okay, so what kind of music do you like dancing to? What type of dances do you do? So I heard you mention Afro. Is that the only thing that you do? What area in dance do you want to dominate?
Okay, so like I mentioned, I'm still growing. So with Afro, I think it is more of a comfort zone. I don't know, maybe I watched a lot of videos and I was like, there's something that I can already do. I can already move right and left and all that.
Yeah.
But then I've just been discovering some kind of dances. Like there's locking, and it's just a happy dance. I think I'm a happy dancer. Okay. So I'm like, okay, maybe I don't have the time yet, but it's something that I'm like, when I have the time at home, just like, okay, one, two, practicing.
Yeah.
And also even contemporary.
Okay.
Unfortunately for me, I didn't go to a dance school. So, dance is like contemporary. They're like, you have to have a teacher, a coach, letting you know the steps. It's like more of ballet, but it's not ballet. So, but that's something that I've always seen myself doing. Because with me wanting to tell stories, I've seen that with contemporary dancing, you can just watch and be like, I understand what you're saying without saying something. So that is something I'm like, if I get that opportunity, I really want to pursue it.
Okay.
Yes. And with social work, I think it aligns.
Okay, so that's my next question, right? Like, how then do you combine the two, the social work and the dancing side of your life?
Okay. With social work, like I mentioned, a lot is always going around. You hear a lot of stories. Some stories that you hear, you can't even sleep. You're like, what is going on in this world? And then being a dancer, there's this expressive side of me. So it is my dream to actually combine the pain that I'm hearing or feeling with what I can do, telling that story. Because like you were mentioning, for example, female artists or dancers in particular, we face a lot of stereotypes. You have to wear this kind, you have to dress and dance like this. So it's like, it's a story already. It's a story already. So that's something that you would want to express. Something you want to tell people, something you want to advocate for.
Yes.
Say no against this, respect for this and all that. So that is how I plan to merge those.
The two.
Yes.
And where would you see yourself in 5 years' time, 10 years' time with your art?
Okay, in 5 years, 10 years' time, I see myself. Can I say coaching people? But actually, can I say more of advocacy? More of advocacy using dance.
Okay.
Yes, like I want you to be. If you go on Instagram or on Facebook, you see a dance video. You're like, there's a story there. Let me listen. What's going on?
Yeah.
Something's going on around me or the community. You're like, okay, what's the story around there? So it's more of speaking out about what's going on. More of advocacy with my craft. That's how I see myself. And obviously, traveling the world.
Yes,
I mean, I want to travel. I love traveling. Yes, so that is just me.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe tell me something. Like, how does dance really tell that story, right? So is it through the moves that you do? Is it the music that you choose to dance to? Like, how does the story side of dance come out?
It's the merging of the two, actually.
Okay.
Because you need the music. Oh, we love you songwriters. We love you musicians. Because without you, we cannot dance.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's like, for example, if I listen to your song, I'm like, okay, this is the message. And you have that vibe. You're like, okay, if I move my hand like this.
Yeah.
Or even the expressions, I'm expressing your words with my movement.
Yeah.
So somebody who can just see, even without listening, they can say, I don't know what the song is, but I can feel what this person is feeling.
Yeah, I can
just
see
by
the
seeing the
message.
movements. You've seen those kind of dances. They're like, you start crying. We're like, yo.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that is more of it with dancing. It's the music. It is very important with the dancer and the movement itself. It then tells a story.
Interesting. I always wondered, like, because when I talk to a lot of dancers, they're talking about how they want to tell a story with their dance, but I've never really asked that question. Like, how do you tell that story with your dance? Is it the music? Is it the words? But you mentioned there, it's the combining, the coming together of the lyrics of the music, even just the instrumental side of it, and the moves that you then do, and the facials, the how you express yourselves. Your body language, right, in the dance.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so what part does faith play in your art, and even in what you have chosen to do in your career?
It plays a major role, actually, because like I mentioned, I didn't know I was going to be doing social work, but then here I am. I didn't even know I was going to be here. Having this opportunity, to speak to you and the rest of the world, but I am here. So it's like every time I'm approaching a new season, I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. It's not like I know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm like, this is what I have right now. So God help me out. So I think faith, it really plays a major role in my life, because every day I don't know when I'm going to be, where I'm going to be, but I keep seeing opportunities coming my way. I'm like, I didn't know I was going to be here. Oh, I didn't know this was going on. And then I'm already there. I'm like, okay, so just keep believing and doing your part, obviously. Working on yourself. That is very, very important. When you faith it and you work on it, then it manifests.
Interesting. Okay. So my next question is, what can you say you've learned from dance that you can apply to just life in general?
Patience. I've learned patience. There are a lot of times I wished I could do a certain move, but I couldn't. And even up to now, there are certain moves I cannot do. But just that journey of growing, knowing that I am better than I was yesterday, my confidence is just, going up and up than it was yesterday. Maybe I cannot do that flip, but hey, maybe I can smell even better. I can bring the energy better. Yeah. So for me, it's the patience, just trusting the process. You know what they say, trust the process. It is true, guys.
It's true.
Trust the process. Yeah, bit by bit. So that is it for me. I think I've learned to be just patient with myself, giving myself grace. To say, you know what, Chantelle, yesterday you went like this, today you are here. So you're doing something, you are growing. Be patient, keep doing it, and just keep moving.
Definitely. I think that's a powerful lesson. And I see it in my life as well, in terms of just the weight that's involved, right? From the time you start something and from the time that you start seeing results, there is always a waiting period, and you always need to have that patience and not give up.
That is
before you get to where you're going. Because the temptation, obviously, is always to give up. And we tend to give up just before we've actually realized the results. So patience is of absolute importance. All right. Okay, so now we've come to the time in the podcast where we get to switch roles. You get to ask me some questions.
Okay.
Yes. Please be kind.
Don't worry. Okay, so there is something that I've always wondered.
Yeah.
Being a mom, being an artist, being a wife, having all these roles. I'm sorry, I'm a social worker. And right now we are doing this module, gender studies. It has opened my eyes to a lot of things. So I just wanted to know, how do you handle being all of that in one? How do you keep on doing what you're doing, keep on singing, despite, mommy, chakati, all those responsibilities. I mean, as a woman, you have a lot going on. That is true. So how do you handle that?
Wow, I think this question has come to me in different shapes and forms, eh? But it's a very interesting question. How do I do it? So first and foremost, I would say my faith plays a huge role in everything that I do. I don't think I would have the strength to be able to do a lot of the things that I am doing because, like we're talking about patience just before you asked the question, I have lost patience in a lot of things. It's so easy to be overwhelmed and tired when you're doing a lot of things, right? But when you have that relationship with God, when you are going to Him for strength, when you're going to Him for, first and foremost, purpose, right? If you find your purpose in God, and you know that the reason why you're doing all these other things in life is because you're being obedient to Him and that He has given you the strength to be able to do it, I think it empowers me to be able to then fulfill all the different roles that I have in my life. Not that I do it perfectly. I do not do it perfectly. I think there's actually a saying that I was talking to Mass with about this morning that I heard from Dolly Parton. And she said, you can have it all, but not at the same time.
At the same time. That is true. That is
true. That quote really, really has been something that has been helping me through, in that there's seasons in life where I get to do more of one thing and less of another. But it doesn't mean that I am never going to do that other thing, right? So, for example, being a mom, there's a time in my life where, especially when, a child is still a baby and they're dependent on you, all of my time was dedicated to being a mother in that particular time. And obviously at that time I really struggled with that, because I was like, what about my dreams? What about, doing A, B, C, D, but God really just gave me comfort in that, what, this is the season for being a mother, and you can bring me glory in just doing that. So then obviously as she grew and became a bit more independent, I then ended up having a bit more time to do the other things that I love. So the music, or Bring It On, or, all these other things, the other roles that I'm filling in. But it's when the season for that comes, being then invested in that, right? And then doing that to the fullest, and then moving on to the next thing. So yeah, I guess that's how I've kind of been able to then do all of those things, giving each the attention it deserves at the time that it's supposed to get that attention. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I like what you said when you say that you go back to God for strength. I think that is something that we always have to do, because at times we really get tired.
We can't do it by ourselves.
We can't.
We cannot do it by ourselves. I think the illusion is that, we always talk about believing in yourself. You can do it.
You can do it.
But unfortunately, like we're seeing it more and more, you can't. That's the truth. We need God.
That is true.
That is just Jesus is the answer to everything. As much as, life and just culture is now trying to take God out of everything, that's the reason why I think we are facing a lot of the challenges, the depressions, the mental health issues, everything. It's because we're running away from where we're supposed to be getting our strength.
That is very true.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me move on to my next question.
Yes.
You talked about being in the music industry. So I wanted to know, like, you have obviously had opportunities to sing with other artists and have other opportunities to perform.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to somebody who is really into music? They're doing their best, but unfortunately, or maybe the time is not there yet, and the doors haven't opened, especially here in Zimbabwe. You know how it is like.
Yes.
Yes. What would you say to them?
I think basically what we're talking about just now, there's a season for everything. There's a season for everything. And the season for reaping will come. You need to just keep sowing and watering your plants or your gift or the thing that you're doing. So if you are, dancing, keep at it. Do it as if, the opportunity is coming tomorrow. So like, for example, there are a lot of situations, like a lot of examples have just come up as I was, so I'm trying to pick one example in my life where I was like, I'll tell me, I said, okay, one day I'm going to need to, collaborate with someone, for example. Then I would think, what do I need, for me to be able to collaborate with another artist? And things like, for example, spit sheets, making sure that you sign, have contracts, all of those things were things that I started preparing way in advance before I then got the opportunity to work with artists, with other artists, for example. So the advice would be, so do what you need to do now, right?
Yes.
As if the opportunity will come tomorrow, because the opportunity will come, the door will open. Are you going to be ready for it? Is the question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That is a great question. I think my last question would be,
Okay. You've got lots of questions.
I had lots of questions, but I'll just ask this last one. You into gospel music? You sing gospel music?
Yes.
Has it been a part of you since you were young, or maybe as you grew up you were singing something else, and then you redirected your path, or you've always sang gospel music And it's been like that. Tell me more about it.
Good question. Wow. Okay. Have I always wanted to do gospel music?
Yes.
Shocking answer, no. No. I've never like when I started to do music actually, because I used to listen to a lot of Destiny's Child, and I used to love, Chris Brown's and all of those, Mariah Carey and things like that. And I wanted to do love songs. I wanted to do like R&B music, like strictly R&B music. But then that changed the more I grew closer to God. They say, I heard somewhere recently, someone saying, you talk about the things that you love. So, and then the Bible also says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh, right?
Yes.
So you'll find that whatever lyric would come into my head would just end up being gospel about God and stuff. So yeah, I guess the closer that I got to God, the more that just started flowing out of my heart. Yeah.
Interesting. That is interesting.
Yeah.
Because I hear a lot of people, it's mostly like, even with dancing, like, I was just dancing, having fun. I was just singing and doing rap. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, Jesus. Oh, Lord. The more we grow closer. So it just comes, that's interesting. Well, thank you so much. It's been nice having you. Over to you.
I see you're taking over my podcast.
Over to you, babe.
No, thank you so much for those questions. That I really enjoyed answering those questions. Like honestly, like I mentioned, a lot of people always have different questions to ask me. So thank you for asking those questions. Okay, so now back to me, right?
Yes, back to you.
I don't know if you have a word of encouragement for young people, especially young dancers, because I think there are not enough female dancers out there, right? Who want to do what you're doing. Words of advice, words of encouragement that you can tell your fellow female artists, maybe you can look into the camera and give them words of advice as we close up today's episode.
All right. Okay, so I have a lot of things to say, but maybe just to sum it all, as an artist or as a dancer or actually a singer or any artist, you have to believe in yourself. That's the first thing. And number two, know why you're doing what you're doing. I think that is very important. Who are you dancing for? Why are you dancing? Who are you singing for? Why are you singing? And the satisfaction that you get from that. So when you at least know that, even if the opportunities haven't come your way, just like what you were saying right now, keep doing what you're doing. Keep sowing every day like the opportunity is coming tomorrow. And then also know that there is a season and a time for everything. Sometimes you work very hard and then the doors will not be opening. But then just that time when you're like, you know what, maybe it's not working, it will work. So keep showing up. I think that's one of my mantras. Keep showing up. There's an opportunity there that you think you can do. Go for it. You never know. At least you go there, you network. You never know. You never know. How I go to bring it on, I still don't know. But I just know that I kept showing up. And somehow, the opportunities always find the way to come to you. That's what I can say. And, please give yourself grace. Don't be too hard on yourself. Yes, work hard, but don't be too hard on yourself. As long as you're doing your part, just know the rest is not in your hand. I think that's what I have to say. But keep showing up. Yes. Those are my words.
Beautiful words. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for that. So you've heard it for yourself. Keep showing up. But first of all, know why you are doing what you're doing. Know who you're dancing for. Know who you're singing for. Then keep showing up. Keep doing what you're doing. And the rest will be in God's hand. Absolutely. And with that, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, goodbye.